I'm seeing that scroll on. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Carol Johnson, and I'm your service leader for today. Here at the Fellowship, I'm working with Charlie Jacobs, Kat Barnett, Richard Clark, and Roy Haynes, with Michael Reason on piano, and Reverend Matt Alspa, our half-time minister who's been doing full-time work keeping up with our technological needs. He is here also. All the announcements that we have for this week's will be posted on Matt's daily email, so please look for them. We're going to light our chalice now, and please prepare your own chalices or candles and light them with us. All right, please sing our chalice lighting song with us while we write it. Michael, please cue us again. Here we go. Let's sing it. And now Susan Miller has our opening words for us, and I forgot to announce that she's also giving the homily.
Good morning. One of the foremost teachings in Buddhism is that everything in life is impermanent. We are impermanent. Our loved ones are impermanent. Our homes are impermanent. Even our planet is impermanent. We need to live being aware of the ever-changing nature of reality and appreciate the present moment. If we can learn to live in this way, we can find peace in everyday life.
Each week, we take time to remind ourselves that we belong to a community that cares for each other. We do this by sharing any significant joys or sorrows in our lives. Joys that are too great for one heart to hold, sorrows that are too much for one heart to endure, local and world events which call upon us to bear witness. In our daily sharing, Matt has invited people to email joys and concerns to be read in the service. Several people have done this, and now we encourage you to type any joys you have into the chat box, and I'll read them from here. The joys we have so far are from Colleen Berry. She has 2 of them. My brother Michael and his wife Julie tested negative for COVID-19. My mother, who was in depression in quarantine alone, now has a caregiver to visit her in quarantine, helping her with companionship and household tasks. And I don't know that we have any more joys coming in, so we'll move on to sorrows. Now let us recall our concerns and sorrows. Whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. Again, I don't know that we have any sorrows from before, but we do encourage you to type them into the chat box. And now we have a couple of more joys. I can't see who it's from. Joyful that I got to celebrate my sister Cheryl's birthday yesterday.
Joni.
And that's from Joni, okay. And the second one
From Lynn.
is from Lynn. Happy birthday to Gary on Thursday. So, any other sorrows that we have? We'll wait a minute. All right, no one's got any sorrows. That's good news for today. In the hearts of love and in the spirit of prayer, we give thanks for this time together, where our joys can be magnified and our sorrows can be lessened. Blessed be. We'll now light our care candle, which is provided by the care team and represents those sorrows that are too raw, too difficult for us to share aloud. We will light the candle for those sorrows which remain present and left unspoken. Now we're going to sing the hymn One More Step, which is number 168 in the hymnal. Michael will lead us.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will
And thank you very much, Linda Jensen, for pre-recording that and working with Michael and giving us some music for today. Now, we're going to turn it over to Susan Miller.
I'd like to add my thanks to Linda Jensen. I think now she qualifies as an international singing star. Okay. You may remember that in the olden days of early March, attendance at the fellowship's Sunday services had increased to the point that we were running out of chairs and seating space. We had big questions. We need more room. What should we do? Where should we go? Should we continue to rent, buy, build? My husband and I had our own questions. What do we want to do on our vacation? Where should we go? Should we continue to rent our house here? Should we buy? Should we build? I asked myself what size dress I could fit into before my daughter's Laura's wedding. Who knows about the wedding? And who knew that these questions, so many questions, that before we could answer them, the questions would change. The fellowship's questions and my personal questions came from a similar source. We assumed that life we knew it would consist of the same elements as before and would continue along the same path. Well, we assumed, and we all know what happens when one assumes. We thought our family life would remain blessedly consistent. Time with our daughter's family here, visits to our other daughter and families up north, entertaining and being entertained. We were attached to the idea that our life would keep on keeping on. And we were happy because the changes we anticipated in our lives and in the life of the fellowship would be good ones. They would be changes made in a spirit of optimism and growth. And everybody was happy because we're human. And humans are hardwired to prefer consistency and growth. We like knowing what's going to happen and what will be expected of us. And we're pretty attached to the idea that we can choose the changes that we make in our lives. It's at times like this that wise people remember that we need to accept what we cannot change, change what we can, and try to be wise enough to know the difference. These words are not original with me. The changes we are facing now are not particularly happy ones. Instead of responding to them in a mood of optimism and growth, it's understandable when our responses contain elements of negativity and anxiety. I suggest that for the vast majority of us, the only things that we can change at all are our reactions to what is going on. Now, in this talk, I am not trivializing the horrendous nature of the changes occurring in the world. People we know and love are facing dreadfully uncertain financial, professional, and educational futures. And anyone who has grown to love the Mexican people knows full well that the hunger and hardships presented at the most routine of times will only worsen as jobs and futures disappear. What I'm talking about today is managing our own personal negative responses to change. Some of these common and predictable responses include: 1, seeking immediate relief from the stresses caused by change, focusing on the negative elements of a change, acting out in irrational ways and blaming others for our problems. None of these are particularly helpful coping mechanisms, but there are ways we can deal with them. immediate relief. I don't know about you, but when I'm faced with stress and want immediate relief, my brain lies to me and tells me that I need comfort food, naps, and chocolate ice cream. Some people I know have brains that tell them they need pizza and beer and computer games and binge watching Tiger King on Netflix. How much better it would be for all of us if we acted like the sensible, responsible adults we're supposed to be, eating well, resting, exercising, and learning how to handle stress in a healthy manner, like Captain Ahab. But we all know people who believe in their heart of hearts that all will be lost, the skies will darken, and the sun will never shine again. How much happier they would be if they imagined that maybe, just maybe, not all will be doomed. There could possibly be more blue skies and rainbows than earthquakes and tsunamis. Now we have griping and complaining. I don't particularly engage in this behavior. I don't really need to when there's chocolate ice cream. Some people, like Grandpa Simpson, faced with life's unpleasantness, gripe and complain to anyone who will listen, and they will inevitably be my seatmates on an overseas flight. Or we can refuse the responsibility for changing our own behaviors, for managing stress. We can play the victim, and we can blame someone else, especially if the legal department advises us to. So, what can we do? We cannot calm the storm, but we can calm ourselves and wait, just wait for the storm to pass. We can let it go. We can do like the dog, take a load off our feet and a load off our minds and let somebody else do the heavy lifting and let the world turn on its own. As much as we would love to be able to solve the world's problems, we can't. We solve nothing by lying awake fretting. We cannot stay attached to the ways we used to live our lives. If we thought our lives would retain an element of permanence and consistency, ha! This can be a time for us to take responsibility for recentering ourselves, to do what we enjoy doing, to exercise our creativity, and to treat ourselves well. We can live being aware of the ever-changing nature of reality and appreciating what joys we have in the present moment. If we live in this way, we can find peace in our everyday lives. Now we will extinguish the chalice. As we extinguish our chalice, we say these words, which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
When Susan told me that today's topic would be change, I thought long and hard about what postlude we should play. And I came up with a song written by Cedar Garrett and Glenn Ballard, who wrote it for Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. And the words are very, very relevant to what Susan has just said. Now, you don't want to hear me sing, believe you me, but the words are as follows. I'm going to make a change for once in my life. It's going to feel real good, going to make a difference, I'm going to make it right. And then the chorus goes, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Thank you, Michael. Michael, I don't think there's anything you cannot play. He's hesitating. Our closing words for today are prayer by Aram Mitchell. This was excerpted from the website of the Unitarian Universalist Association. As we cross the threshold of each new day, May we find strength in the confidence that we're moving together. May we rest assured that yesterday's unknown will be a little more familiar tomorrow. And may we remember that right now, we just have to live today. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to be seen by you next week. A heads up, please look out for your LCUUF newsletter this week. Many of the board members have been approached by people with questions about how to pay their pledge, and we address that issue in the newsletter. Have a wonderful week and don't get too bored.